Finally, a movie that's willing to ask the question, what if Guillermo del Toro wrote Finding Nemo?
Pretty baby of mine. Pretty baby of mine.
The Shape of Water is the latest Del Toro film. This one about a cleaning lady at a research facility. Finds a little more than she bargained for in the water tank where she's cleaning. Won't go into any more details than that, other than to say this movie got the most Golden Globe nominations, the most Critics' Choice nominations. Is it a movie that's worth all this awards love? Well, let's take a look with 5 things you might want to know about The Shape of Water. This is a really great movie. If you're a Del Toro fan, you're absolutely going to love it. Let's start there with the director. With the typical blah, 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 Del Toro's quirky, he's a little bit strange, he's a little bit weird. I say blah, blah, and I guess he is hit or miss with me too. But it's the best kind of strange for me when it's somebody like Del Toro. And what I mean by that is it's not just quirkiness for quirkiness' sake. It's a worldview type quirkiness. The way he sees the universe allows him to tell almost metaphorical stories in a way that a lot of directors cannot do. So I'm going to give this a caution because, yes, the weirdness of this story may be a little much for some people, but I enjoy at least that there are directors doing things like Del Toro does. So let's talk about what there is to love here, because there really is a lot. One of the parts of this movie that's getting nominated all over the place are the performances, and they deserve it. They are great here all around, but I'm going to single in on Sally Hawkins, who has been in awards type stuff before, but she's not really one of those well-known names. And I'm hoping maybe this puts her to that place. She is so good here at embodying this character who has her own view of the world, her own disabilities, her own things she interacts with and ways she interacts with people. She's doing really great work here at conveying all of that emotion in a very different character. It's not an easy thing to do, and I give her a lot of props for doing it. It's great stuff. The other thing that works really well here is the emotion. And a lot of that has to do with the performances, but it also has to do with this really interesting romance that's going on here. Now, I don't think it's a spoiler or giving anything away. I mean, it's on the poster. She's dealing with falling in love with a fish creature. That's the strangeness that we talked about earlier, and yet somehow Del Toro weaves this story to not only allow us to buy into their romance, but to root for it, to see it as beautiful, to see it as unique creatures finding each other, which is such a beautiful theme about what love and connection really is in the first place. So it's beautiful to see all of that at work here, and when it works, you're feeling it, and the movie does that really well. I kind of touched on this next one in my last point, but let's go a little bit deeper into the story element of this movie, because what's going on with this metaphor is brilliant. There's stuff here about finding purpose in our pain, blessings in our hindrances, about finding desire in destiny, and all of that, how all of that's wrapped together. There are these beautiful moments about who this person is, what she has to deal with, and in the end, how that allows her to love in a bigger and greater way than she could ever imagine. It really is this incredible metaphor. Once you look beyond the fish-human romance, it's this beautiful metaphor that's going on about what desire is, what love is, what it means to find somebody who you saw things in your life as gaps, as missing parts, and yet somehow their pieces fill all those parts to the place where you feel whole. And that's what this movie is saying in such an interesting and beautiful way. So yeah, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and also maybe goes a little too far at points. This would be the one negative I had with the film. I feel like it's a little more explicit than it needs to be. Now, I don't mean that in a sexual way necessarily. I mean, although that is here, and I don't know that they had to go there, I almost mean it in more of a story way. It spells out more than it needs to. That goes for the sexual part of the movie. It spells out things about their romance and their love life that I don't think it has to. In the same way it spells out other things in the story that I don't think it had to make that plain. There's something more beautiful about a metaphor when you get to live in it and experience it. And I think it allows more people to connect to it when you kind of sand off those edges a little bit. I think this movie gets a little too specific for its own good at parts, but still overall, it is a beautiful film. Del Toro is hit and miss for me, but this one's definitely hit. Had a great time with it. I give it an A-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the Best Ever Challenge here in a bit. Before we do, though, let's connect further. Hit me up on Twitter. It's Aaron Dicer, AARONDICER. You can also go to the podcast, if you do the podcast thing. SiftPop, SiftPop is where you're going to do that. Or right here on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Getting close to that 2,000 mark. If you've been watching these reviews, maybe a couple of them, you're like, I kind of like this guy. Or maybe you're even like, I don't really like this guy. I don't care. Hit the subscribe button. It'd be a lot of fun. Subscribe and comment. Have all sorts of fun here at YouTube. Or Patreon. Thanks to those who support at Patreon. patreon.com/yourmoviefriend. Starts at $3 a month. Comes with some pretty fun perks. You can check it all out there. All right, on to the Best Ever Challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. Let's do Sally Hawkins. What is the best Sally Hawkins movie ever? I'm going to have to go with the one, you know what, I'm not going to tell you. Not even going to give you a clue. Unless maybe you give me some marmalade. Then maybe. Take a guess at mine in the comments. First person to get it right does get a point. As always, leave your choice there as well. I'll give you a few extra seconds here to hit subscribe. Just click my face.